Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon. It's Saturday. It's a great day. Um, so there's a few things I want to say. Um, Jael, it's not going to communicate with you too much. Not anymore. He, I think he can tell that you're probably might not be in a good place for you to communicate with him. So he's taking a preemptive approach at when to reach out to you. So a few nights ago, if you remember, a few days ago, just last night, Friday night, you know, um, I don't know, 6:45 through 8:30 or something, 8:30 or something like that. We tried, all three of us tried to communicate, and then he just wasn't. He really likes you. So he didn't want to say anything to you then at that time. And I know the reasons why, and I understand his approach on what he's saying. But we set you aside and we kind of let you hang in there for a second, right? And then him and I had a conversation. And that was mostly just about keeping you safe. He said a lot of other things. They're not very happy up there about the way that things are going on down here. I mean, even to the naked eye, it might seem like everything's all right. Everything really isn't all right. They can tell, they know, right? And then he just went on to say more things, about just things that I know are true, which really just wouldn't make any sense to anyone if I start saying things. I'm only going to say things that I know that you're going to be able to comprehend, right? That you're going to be able to process inwards, and then and fill yourself with that understanding, and let you grow out of that process, right? So I'm not gonna tell you something that is just gonna. I'm not here to blow you away, saying cool things. It's just like, oh, that's not true. That's not gonna happen. Here, way. No, that's not happening. Right? So we're basically in a state of flux when it comes to things like that, right? When it comes to disclosure, a lot of people are very, very nervous. They come to me and they're wanting me to make a video and tell us what's going on, what's happening. And you have to understand something, that those truths that you can't tangibly comprehend aren't the things that I'm going to say to you. I'm going to tell you something that you can be actionable about, so that you don't need to say there's proof or you were right, but you'll take that and very professionally and take that information and apply it so that you can make yourself feel better as a whole, right? For everybody involved here. So that's kind of it, right? In a nutshell. And I don't feel like I should even be making any more videos at all. It doesn't matter, because the truth of the matter is you're just going to not understand part of what's going on. So up there, they're not all those lights in the sky. They're gone. They're not coming back. They're going to, and I'm going to phrase this in a way that you understand and everybody's going to understand. They're going to shoot a device the size of a refrigerator towards an asteroid and divert the asteroid. And that's it. They're just going to tilt the balance in the direction where everything goes well for the solar system, and then the galaxy and everything else, where everything's in tune. And then just, that's it. You need to tune a piano once, and not ever come back. So they're not going to preferably stick around, because then they might have a problem where the scale is going to go back to how it was before, right? That's not what their goal is at this time. So they're going to do just that. And I think it's already been done in lots of ways. That whole thing is complete. And then the panic sets in, right? And all the other scenarios that goes along with it, because it doesn't mean like the world's going to change in a heartbeat. The changes that are happening aren't happening tangibly right away, but they will begin to unravel themselves. And quite frankly, it's just that it's really in a state of flux. And when you see a boiling pot and you hear the smoke and it's just steam now, there's no water in that anymore, no one's tending the oven, you think they're gonna stick around? They're just gonna go. They're not the kind to intervene in that way, right? You know, they don't go past what they need. So Jael, he's being cautious. He might just step away. You might not talk to him. You know, he has beautiful silver blonde hair. He has like a gray, sort of bluish gray space suit, you know, and he and he's just, well, we had a lengthy conversation back and forth, a lot, and then that was kind of it, really. You know, he remembered me too, right? But he really, really likes you a lot. I can tell that he does. Okay? So that's that. What else can I say? Well, there's really nothing to say. I guess that's what's important. The curiosity of bad actors, you know, it's a moot point, because you're not making a tangible step forward if you're just wanting to speak to demons or things like that. That doesn't make a difference either way. It's just like a pastime in any way. But this is the meat of the issue here, and the thing that we have going on at this time when it comes to those things. So definitely don't. It's not worth making a video for things like that. The only other thing that did happen was that there was some kids that came from I think the Pleiades or somewhere, and they what did they do? They said hello. They were waving and they were saying hello, and that's it. They knew there was a order to stand back from the planet, but they went in. They were just poking around. They were saying hi to a friend of theirs, and that friend of theirs was someone that's landed here on this planet thinking that he could fix everything, and then realized that it wasn't going to be able to. It wasn't as easy as it feels like you'd want to fix the planet. And what I mean is, just set the planet back in a way that it is in tune with every other planetary, every other planet here. You know, set it right, because they're just not gonna. The way that the planet is run in, this is like an incredibly inefficient way to run a planet. I'm not talking about a country. I'm talking about a planet. So they'll just swing out. If you're going back to Orion, you're doing like, what? If it's light speed, I don't know, 1.3 million miles or something. Like when you go and you come back, I'm gonna be an old man because it'll take like 40 years to go, and maybe 40 years to come back. So they're not far away. They're close enough they can just kind of scoop in quickly if they need to for whatever reason. But if they feel like they've said it, you know, if they feel like they set it right the way it's being set right now, then they're just gonna step 5 miles away, and then if it feels like for them it's going a little better, then they'll do 10 miles away, and then they'll just go further and further until like, okay, let's get out of here, and that's it. You don't stir the pot too much. You just put it and let it run its course the way it's supposed to. But the way the planet is run is very inefficient. No one, and I mean, they're not going to make any interaction with any single individual. If they pick someone to make some kind of connection with, it'll be just, in a big warehouse somewhere where no one's gonna bother to look or anything like that. They're past that. A lot of the stuff that you're hearing is so old and outdated because they went in, they made an assessment on what's going on, and then just like, all right, let's take a different approach. So this is the different approach that's happening now, and they'll move on to then. But it's like they would want to have a conversation, just maybe one specific person, and then they kind of already know. Like I already know what the conversation is going to be about. It's because of the quantum field. The quantum field, right? The frequency of love, which is not the people that I'm being surrounded with right now. But in any case, it's incomprehensible, and it's not something that you're going to understand what's about because you're putting conditions on what that frequency is. You don't even really understand it for yourself, right? Like, who really understands any religious teaching and writing? It's confusing because there's so much input from someone else that's putting it in there that it doesn't. You resonate with some of those things, and with other things you just don't. It doesn't click. Why do we have a God that's going to be revengeful? And then sometimes you find that your God is just the nicest person in the world, and then there's this, and then there's that. You go in this back and forth with that topic in mind. It makes you think, right? It makes you think. So, I mean, for anyone that thinks that this is going to be, that if you think like in 10 years, like, oh, we're going to have people coming down and they're going to, they already know what the thought process is, and they understand that that's not going to happen, right? There's no secret key or magic, button combination that you're going to press that will allow you, okay, to have your way when it's just so few people that are out of sync with the natural way of the progressions of any civilized planet, including this one and any other one. So there's no way that you're going to take 1, 3, 10, 15 spokes out of the wheel and they say, well, we're not going to give you 2 spokes back if this doesn't happen. Or we're not going to have it all put together unless we get these demands. There's not going to be that kind. What that does is just slows everything down. And they realize that thought process isn't going to change, so they all left. Right? You can't peek behind the curtain and then make believe you didn't peek behind the curtain to see what's going on. If you peek behind the curtain, you have to let everyone cry and laugh and smile and feel all the emotions, even if you already seen the play or if you already seen that there's just smoke and mirrors behind the curtain. So some people think they could hoodwink every single other person in the world and have some kind of secret covenant or connection where they're going to continue the process of how just awful this planet is run. So in other words, they're just going to let us steamroll everything as smooth as they can, and then maybe 5 or 6, 800 years from now, then you'll have an event where me will have some kind of connection or contact with those kind of individuals that are out there, because uh, what the things they can do is just absolutely magical. It's very, I mean, even like I'm at peace because I already know that it's possible to do. So I'm calm. I understand the process that it takes, and we're at the very infancy of civilization and growth, and we're very unique in a lot of ways, and that just makes it harder, not easiest or easier, to reach the level. We'll reach the level, but it's not gonna happen the way you think. The more you start to see and things start to get disclosed, it's like saying, well, um, what is it? It's like saying, okay, well, you learn to add and you learn the alphabet. Now we're going to pronounce words and do multiplications and divisions. It's just gonna, no way, this can't be happening. So one drop at a time, one step at a time, make serious progress forward, and then I don't care if I'm here or not. To be honest, that doesn't matter to me one bit. Makes no difference in my life because I already know that. So it's for those that don't care or are gonna be shocked when they hear news about things, that you're gonna be there to calm them down. The only people I'm gonna calm down are the people that I talk to on the phone, because a stranger isn't gonna listen to me. My friends will, my mom or my dad or my brothers and sisters, and that's it. Or me or you guys. But that's it. Or people that are in my circle. But other than that, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So I leave you guys very well. I hope that this has been just as informative and confusing as it was meant to be. But it looks like a step back. In all reality, it's just the beginning. So thank you for watching.